Hey everybody, this is Nancy Norbeck with this week's Creative Pep Talk. And I don't know if you've heard, you may have, you may not have, but the Rolling Stones have a new album out, which is kind of remarkable because these guys are all right around 80 years old when a lot of people don't want to have to deal with anything like that anymore. They're still touring, and it is, depending on where you live, like in the US, it's their 26th studio album. I'm not sure why it's a different number elsewhere, but doesn't matter. But I was reading about this the other day, and I read this great quote from Mick Jagger from an article in The Guardian, which I will link you to in the show notes, where he says, "I write all the time. You've just got to keep writing, and now everyone can see that they can record quite easily. It was only 3 weeks in the studio. It's not difficult. Too much angst went into recording before. If it's no good, it's no good. If that track doesn't work, another one will. Do it." And I thought, wow. Because, like I said, Mick Jagger is about 80 years old. So you would think that Mick Jagger would be an expert in what he does by now. And I absolutely have no doubt that he is. But that quote is a really good example of working from a beginner's point of view. You hear about beginner's mind. That's what beginner's mind is write the thing, record it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Do the next one. It's not getting hung up on, I wrote this and it's great and I have to make it great. And if it doesn't work, then I'm a failure or I'm doomed or there's something wrong with me. Right? It is literally the creative equivalent of throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. And when I read it, it just felt so incredibly freeing to me, and also fascinating that it's coming from someone with that much experience, which is usually the opposite of beginner's mind. And yet I think it's also the wisdom of experience is that okay, if it doesn't work, I do the next thing. So what? It's okay. It doesn't mean I'm a failure. It just means that thing didn't work. That thing is not a reflection of me. It's not a reflection of my ability. It's a piece of work that didn't work. Right? I mean, if you think about it, you can look at any writer, painter, architect, inventor. For crying out loud, the famous story of Thomas Edison and his 10,000 ways that didn't work. Right? I haven't failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that don't work. There are lots of things you could say about Edison. That's not why we're here. But if you think about it, he's separating himself and the quality and value of himself from the quality and value of his work. He's recognizing that not every piece of work is going to be worth something, but that doesn't mean it's not worth doing. It doesn't mean that doing the pieces of work that don't work doesn't lead you to the stuff that does. I mean, seriously, I haven't listened to this Rolling Stones album yet, but the reviews are all fantastic, saying it's some of their best work ever. So I think maybe Mick Jagger is onto something here that we can all take and learn from, right? I'm kind of contemplating trying out some creative things that I've never tried before. I can pretty much guarantee that if I sit down with some watercolors or alcohol inks or anything like that, I am not going to have the first idea what in the heck I am doing. And I am going to churn out a whole bunch of crap. But while my goal is not necessarily to become an expert in any of those things, with each one I will know something more than I did before. I will have learned something. It will open up some other part of me, some other part of my creative self, soul, brain, all of the above, that wasn't open before. And therefore it's worth doing. And if one doesn't work, you throw it out and you go on to the next one. Obviously, I'm not advocating wanton waste here, but that is how the creative process works. You're going to go through some materials and do the best you can in that regard, but it's not about that. It's about opening up your freedom of imagination, invention, expression, just your freedom, full stop. Because there's a part of you that feels called to do that thing. Just keep writing, Keep drawing, keep recording. If one doesn't work, try the next one. Listen to the patron saint of beginner's mind, Mr. Mick Jagger, because he's got something to say and it's worth hearing. So I really hope that you will take his words and his example and apply it to what you're working on. You know, the stuff that you do doesn't have to be perfect. Some days are going to be better than others. The more important thing is that you keep going until you hit on something that really works. And don't confuse your own value with the value of the work that you create. That is so incredibly important. They're two different things. And if you can do that, honestly, you've got half the creative battle down, because that's where a lot of people really get stuck. So give that a try. Just keep going. Just don't even worry about how good it is until you're done with it. Maybe until you've done 10 things, maybe until you've done 20. And see what you've got then. But don't get hung up on how good it has to be and whether it works and what that says about you. What it says about you is, hey, I created something, and that's more than a lot of people ever manage to do. So give it a try. As always, I'd love to hear how this stuff works for you, what your thoughts are, your reflections. And, it's not that hard to find me. Social media, Substack, email, it all works. So with that, I will see you next time.